Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Shooting Straight, Living Life in Truth. I'm Charles, your host for the evening, and tonight we're going to be talking about a topic that's near and dear to my heart: respect. Why is it near and dear to my heart? Because it's really the foundation for a lot of things. It's also the foundation for a lot of the problems that we have in society, because right now in society, we seem to be lacking respect. When I talk to people on a daily basis, a lot of times I see a lot of small things that just show a blatant lack of respect. Driving down the road, you see it all the time. When I'm at Dave and Buster's, I see it in
Why?
people at Dave and Buster's that come there. Um, you know, just in day-to-day interactions with different people. I see it everywhere. And then you turn around and you look at the world of politics, and you look at the world of media and society as a whole in general. And there's this mindset where if you don't agree with me, then you just need to keep your mouth shut. Well, that's a show of disrespect. It's an ugly thing. And in all honesty, I firmly believe that the foundation of all of our problems in American society today is a lack of respect. And in order to drive that message home, in order for you to understand why I say that and why I feel that way and why I believe that, tonight we're going to talk about respect, and we're going to get into it in detail. One of the things that I'm going to do with you tonight, and basically some of the things we're going to talk about, is what is the definition of respect, one. Two, what are some of the synonyms of it so that we can understand what some of the nuances of the word is, and then what the antonyms are. In other words, what is the opposite of respect? All right. And I think that by the time we get done going over those things, I think you're going to understand a lot more where I'm coming from. And I think you're going to start seeing why we have so many problems in American society today. And I firmly believe that the bottom line of that is a firm lack of respect. Um, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the topic. And the first thing that I want to bring up and talk about is the actual definitions of respect, both as a noun and as a verb. And as you can see, starting with the noun up there at the very top, a, a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, their qualities, or achievements. Now, oftentimes, when we think about respect, that's what we think of. Someone has earned our respect. Well, respect is something that is not just earned, it's also given. There's a certain level of respect that every individual, every human being, every person is entitled to because they're a living human being. Human life is something that should be respected, something that should be honored and revered. And we'll get into that in a little bit because another part of the definition of respect is deals with that sort of thing. But respect is both given and earned, and in this particular instance, this is where it's talking about where it's earned, and this is how we most often think about it. But there's also a giving of a due regard for the feelings, wishes, rights, or traditions of others. Notice those words in there: consideration or due regard for their feelings, for their wishes. Notice what they desire, their free will, their rights. And boy, is that important in modern political society right now. Their traditions of other people. Not everybody has the same traditions. I myself come from a Portuguese family. We have certain traditions that don't apply to other kind of nationalities and other types of people. But as the old saying goes, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. All right. When I'm in Portugal, I abide by the Portuguese traditions that we have. When I go to Rome, I try to keep those in mind. When I was in Germany, one of the traditions that they have in Germany is that if you go to someone's home and you, for the very first time, let's say they invited you to their home and you show up for the very first time, and you show up empty-handed, you've shown them some disrespect. The idea is that you're grateful that they're inviting you into their personal space, their private space, their sanctuary, their home. So you bring them a gift to say thank you for the honor of being invited into your home. Now, we don't do that in America, but they do that in Germany. So if you go to a German's house, or you're in Germany and you go to someone's house and you're invited for the first time, respect their traditions and take them something as a gift to say thank you for the honor of inviting me into your personal space, into your world. All right, that's what that's about. All right. Part 3 of the noun definition of it is a particular aspect, point, or detail. All right. I could go into that a little bit more, but it's like in respect to, or it's kind of hard to describe that one a little bit. So when we get a little further down in some of the other definitions, that'll come up a little bit more. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the definitions related to it being a verb, and I think it'll become a little bit more clear on that one. So again, the first one is about admiring someone or something deeply as a result of their abilities, qualities, or achievements. The second part is have due regard for the feelings, wishes, rights, or traditions of other people. All right, those are all pretty much the same, but here's where things start getting a little bit different. All right, avoid harming or interfering with something or someone. All right, and then the last one is regarding the law and agreeing to recognize and abide by a legal requirement. All right, avoiding harming or interfering with something. As an example, and I know there's probably going to upset a bunch of people, but nevertheless, all right, this whole separation of church and state thing, believe it or not, that is a modern concept, a concept that has only come up since the 1950s, 1960s, all right? It's a new concept. It wasn't even considered prior to that. The reason for that is because when you look at the actual Constitution, where it says, and the government shall make no law respecting religion, that means in relation to. That's that third verb definition there. In other words, the government wasn't supposed to make any laws that, pull that up for me, Donnie. Wasn't supposed to make any laws that would harm or interfere with religion. Right there. That's the definition of the word respect. That's one of the original forms of it, and that was how it was viewed when it was put into the Constitution. It wouldn't make any laws harming or interfering with religion. In other words, the whole concept behind that was the fact that in England, the Catholic Church was made the official religion. In other words, you had to go to Catholic Church. There was no other religion allowed. In France, at one point, it was an orthodoxy type religion, right? In other states, and the governments were making it a requirement that you had to go to these types of churches, and they were respecting religion. In other words, they would put one down to exalt another. That's just precisely what's going on right now in modern day society in America when you look at the politics. Everybody's trying to push Christianity down while at the same time trying to push up things like Islam and Buddhism and other things like that. It's okay for anybody else to put stuff out in public, right? There are some people that, say, no, that's not good either. If you're going to do that, then you have to do it for Christianity, and you have to do it for this, and you have to do it for that, and you have to do it for this and that and that. All right? That's fine. That's great. You know what? That's precisely what the Constitution says. You're not supposed to respect one religion over another. You're not supposed to you're not supposed to make any laws that harm or interfere with the religion. In other words, you're free to exercise your religion in any form or fashion that you want. Doesn't matter if I agree with that religion. Doesn't matter if someone else over here doesn't agree with that religion, or agrees with that religion but doesn't agree with my religion. It doesn't matter. We're all free to express that in any form that we decide, whether that be Hinduism, whether that be Islam, whether that be Christianity, whether that be any other type of religion. It doesn't matter. You're free to express it how you want. You're free to participate in any religion that you want. Stop trying to suppress one and elevate the other. You're crossing the line in the Constitution based on that word respect. Period. That's what the original founding fathers meant by it. The other part of it was having respect for the law, or agreeing with it, recognizing it, and abiding by it. There you go. Constitutional law, guys. I'm no constitutional law expert, but that's the way it was intended. Agree with it, honor it, abide by it. Respect other people's ability to worship how they please, and stop trying to interfere with it and squash it. All right? Just to give you some more ideas and concepts here that'll help you with some of the innuendos about the word respect. Let's take a look at the synonyms for it. I'm not going to read all of these, but I am going to hit a few that I felt were pertinent and important. All right? Under the noun, you got esteem, regard, high regard, veneration, awe, reverence, honor, praise, homage, admiration, acclaim, giving due regard, consideration, thoughtfulness, attentiveness, politeness, courtesy, civility, aspect, regard, facet, feature, way, sense, characteristic, particular, point, detail, question, a matter, connection. And under the verb, a lot of it's pretty much the same, but you got prize, you got treasure, you got look up to, pay homage to, venerate, to cherish, to give value to appreciate, to show consideration for, to show regard for, take into consideration, take into account, make allowances for, to take cognizance of, to observe, to pay heed to pay attention to, bear in mind, be mindful of, be heedful, remember, regard. All right, today's Memorial Day. Remember and regard. Part of showing respect for the people that have given their lives to protect this country and protect what it stands for, to protect the Constitution. Because that's really what they did, was they gave their lives to protect the Constitution. And you'll see that in a little bit, and it's part of the oath that they take, to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The oath was to protect the Constitution, not the country. To protect the Constitution. Now the synonyms, just go on for a little bit further with the synonyms here. Because I really want you guys to get the nuances behind this word respect, because it's extremely important that we understand those things. All right? In the third part of the verb there is talking about abide by, comply with, follow, adhere to, conform to, act in accordance with, acquiesce to, assent to, rise up to, in other words. All right? Consent to. Donnie, can you bring that up full screen on the monitor for me? On the synonyms, please. Yield to, submit to, defer to, bow to, obey, observe, hold to, keep to, stick to, stand by, heed. I mean, there's no greater show of disrespect concerning the law than I've seen in modern day, when people's general mentality and attitude is, it's not illegal unless you get caught. I'm sorry, folks, but if it's a law and you disobey that law, or you break that law, according to what we just read, the definition and the synonyms of respect, you've just shown disrespect for the law, which means you don't respect the law. And the law is all about showing respect to everyone else around you. That's what the law is when you look at it. If you respect something, you're not going to steal from it. If you respect something, you're not going to beat on it. You're not going to abuse it. You're not going to kill it. You're not going to, assault it. If you respect those things, you're not going to do those things. And guess what? That's all part of the Ten Commandments. The rest of our laws break down those 10 commandments into the nitty-gritty, fine details, just like the law of Moses did out in the desert in Exodus. The only reason the law even existed for Israel was because of the fact that the Israeli people told God, no, we don't want you talking directly to us. Because God had already said, hey, look, I want to talk directly to you. And they said, no, don't talk directly to us. We're not worthy of that. Talk to Moses, and we'll listen to Moses. So then the law came to be, because he wrote it down on tablets. And basically the entire law is about respecting God and respecting those around you, respecting people. And before I get off into preaching on and stuff like that, because that's not what I really mean this vlog to be, let me go a little bit further to show you a little bit more innuendo about this word respect. And let's go to the antonyms. And let's talk about the antonyms for a little bit. Antonyms: ignore, disobey, scorn, despise, disrespect, discourtesy, inconsiderate, rudeness, ghosting. And ghosting and ignoring are pretty much one and the same, guys. I mean, when I got out of the United States Army back in 2005 and I came back home to Florida, when I got here and I tried applying for jobs and different things like that, I got introduced to the concept of ghosting. And I was told that, oh, that's a common practice now in the business world. I'm like, how can that be a common practice in the business world? That is about as unprofessional as you can be, because it's a complete show of disrespect. And I'll get into that, and you'll understand why I say that a little bit more later. But it is. Ghosting is a sign of disrespect, because you're ignoring someone. And when you ignore someone, you're basically saying, hey, you're not important enough for me to even bother listening to. Go away. That's basically what you're doing. That's what ghosting is. That is a show of disrespect. Major disrespect. And I tell you what, when I got out of the Army in 2005 and I got introduced to that concept, that's when I started asking that question, as you guys heard me describe earlier in some of the earlier episodes of this vlog. Where am I? Did y'all let me out in the United States of America? Because this isn't the United States of America that was here when I went into the Army. Is this really what I've been fighting for the last 18 years, fighting to protect? So that I can get out and come out and find out society has gone to this ghosting concept? And then as I look around and I start paying closer attention to things, I'm finding out that respect is not even a consideration in most people's minds anymore. And I'm blown away by it. And then we wonder why there's so much division in our country. It's not because of any one president. It's not because of Congress. It's not because of an administration. It's not because of the news media, although they all contribute to it. What it boils down to is the lack of individual respect. And that's nowhere more obvious and evident than when you start talking politics, because when somebody says, if you don't agree with me, just shut your mouth. How is that respecting someone else's traditions? How is that respecting someone else's mindset or concept or thoughts or principles or someone else's rights? We all have a First Amendment right to speak our minds and say what we want, even if it's against the government. It's a protected right by the Constitution. Who are you to not respect that right and tell me I have to shut up because my opinion doesn't agree with yours? The strength that everybody wants to talk about, the strength in diversity, well, hello, that right there is where it comes from. My perspective might be different from yours, but guess what? If we can sit down and have an honest conversation and have good communication or effective communication, then you and I can learn from each other and see a different aspect of the same problem and maybe be able to come to some kind of a solution that benefits everybody. That's our strength in diversity. But without respect, that strength isn't there. Without respect, we are weak. We are weak socially. We are weak as a nation. We are weak as individuals. And I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you right now with this next slide, or this next set of slides. And I'm going to start with talking about the Army core values. Because the Army core values is the foundation by which every soldier establishes their professionalism and their ability to be respected and trusted to do their job and keep the person next to them alive. If you look at this, that bottom line there where it says the Army values assist soldiers to develop a moral compass that guides them to make the right moral and ethical decisions. Part of those core values is respect. If you look at the acronym for those core values, you'll see it spells out LDRSHIP, leadership. Leadership. Respect is a core value of leadership. And the way the Army defines it here is something to pay particularly attention to, because this is something that's missing in society. Treat people as they should be treated. That's another way of saying how you want to be treated, treat other people that same way. You want to be treated right? Treat people right. And yes, there are people out there that will take advantage of you if you treat them right. If you treat them with respect. If you give them higher credence than yourself. If you give them higher value than yourself. There are people who will try to take advantage of that. But you know what? You also have the ability and the right to cut that person out of your life. But you don't have the right to disrespect them. That's at a basic human level. If they disrespect you, don't return that disrespect, because all you're doing is compounding the problem and escalating it to levels it doesn't need to be. Walk away. All right, I can't rely on you. You've demonstrated that I can't respect you beyond the basic human level of respect. You've demonstrated that you have no respect for me. Well, I'll move on to somewhere else where somebody can respect me. I'll move on somewhere else where someone will treat me right because I've treated them right. That's how we do things in America. We have those rights. We have those liberties based on the Constitution that millions of Americans died for. The other thing I want to bring up about the Army core values is that fourth core value there, the S, the selfless service, because that's all part of respect as well. But it goes even farther. But selfless service, defined the way the Army does, is put the welfare of the nation, the Army, and your subordinates before your own. This is talking to people in leadership, because the only people with subordinates in the military are people who have a higher rank than the other people, right? Selfless service, buddy. Selfless service is what I'm talking about. As a specialist, the subordinates are those that are E3s, E2s, and E1s. But they have some level of leadership in there. As NCOs, the same thing is true. But with NCOs, you have the direct responsibility of other soldiers being underneath you. Now that I've said that, let's go ahead and lead into the next thing that I want to talk about, which is the structure of the Army squad. Because this is where all of this is going to come in and tie together, and you'll understand this stuff a little bit more, all right? Within a squad, you have 9 soldiers. You have your squad leader, that's 1. He's in charge and responsible for all 9 soldiers. Usually a non-commissioned officer, an E5 or above. Most likely he's an E5 or a corporal. But most of the time, corporals are going to be your fire team leaders, or it's going to be a specialist of some kind. Just depends on the unit and how that structure goes, because it varies from company to company, unit to unit. But in this particular instance, for this particular slide that I'm showing you, we're talking about an infantry unit, all right? And this is the way it gets broken down. You have 1 team leader, and then you have two fire team leaders, they're assistant squad leaders, and then you have 3 other soldiers that those team leaders are responsible for. You have a rifleman, an automatic rifleman, and a grenadier. Your team leaders are usually riflemen, and your squad leader is usually a rifleman, all right? But here's where respect and the things that I've talked about in the last couple of weeks really come together and really show their importance. Now, of course, I'm talking about this in the concept and the scheme of in the military and in a combat scenario. So it's extreme, but I want to show you just how foundational this is and how important this is, all right? Because when the team lead or when the squad leader gives out orders, he has to give out clear orders, orders that are understood by the receivers. He has to understand the receivers and be able to respect what the receivers are going to hear and be able to put that information out there. Those fire team leaders are then going to turn around and put it out to the squad members, right? Now, at a point in time, one of these people doesn't respect the other people, or the squad doesn't respect one of those people, there's going to be question marks over their head as to whether or not they can do their job, over whether or not they're going to put the rest of the squad over themselves in value, whether or not they can rely on that person, whether or not they can respect that person. Now, if there's a breakdown in communication or a breakdown in respect, then that means somebody somewhere isn't going to be doing their job, which if they're not doing their job on the battlefield, that means somebody's going to die. Somebody's dead. Even if everything goes right and the communication is there and the respect is there and the training is all there, people can still die. That's the nature of war. But the probability of someone dying exponentially increases. Exponentially increases when communication and respect aren't present at the squad level and somebody doesn't do their job. Now, last week we talked about good communication, which is just another way of me saying effective communication. All right? So we've talked about honest communication, we've talked about good communication, and this week we're talking about respect. Now I'm about to show you how all of that ties in together. So let's go ahead and bring that slide up, Donnie. And here we go. We talked about the clear message before, being clear, concise, and to the point so that it's not misunderstood. A correct message, meaning the information in the message is correct, is truthful, is honest information, honest communication. A complete message that contains the who, what, where, when, why, and how of your message. A precise message, all right? As an example of a precise message, it would be something along the lines of, let's say you're on the battlefield, right? And a squad leader sees a particular situation arising where they have what's known as a pillbox or a bunker, all right, with a machine gun in it, right? Well, you're not going to be able to move your squad safely unless that machine gun is suppressed. Well, when he sends back the order to have machine gun fire placed on top of that bunker, right? Do you really think he's going to get that if he says, suppress the fire over there? Probably not. But if he says, hey, I need suppressive fire on that bunker to the east of this field, then that machine gunner is going to know precisely where he's talking about. He's going to aim his firearm and his machine gun at that bunker, and he's going to go to town on it and provide covering fire so that the squad can move. And if he doesn't do that, and it doesn't get communicated properly, people are going to die. The same thing would be the case if he were to send back the order, say, hey, Grenadier, I need you to put some grenades on that pillbox. Or I need you to put some grenades on that machine gun position over there. You've got to have a precise message, all right? Clear message, correct message, complete message, precise message. That's going to make a reliable message. It's going to make reliable communication. Throw in a consideration of the recipient. What kind of stress is he under? What kind of personal stress is he under? What kind of battlefield stress is he under? All these things are going to come into play because all those things are going to create a filter for how he hears your messages. And it's going to affect how well your message gets communicated. Now for that very last one, this is a key point. Remember the definition and the synonyms for respect? One of them was courtesy. Look at this. The seventh element of effective communication. Sender's courtesy. What is that talking about? It's talking about taking into consideration the things that are going on with the people that you're talking to, that you're sending the message to, the recipients. Being courteous, in other words, if you know that this particular person is under this particular stress, and you turn around and you have a message that's regarding that particular type of stress, then you need to do it in such a way that it is courtesy, shows a courteous message regarding that scenario, so that it doesn't come across as you being judgmental or as you being condescending, or comes across in some other negative fashion to where you don't communicate the message you're really trying to get across. If you're trying to help them and you care about them and you're trying to improve their life by what you're saying, then be courteous of where they're at, be thoughtful, be mindful, be respectful in the way that you deliver it. Another way of saying that is deliver the truth in love. It's very poignant. And that applies whether we're talking about personal interactions or whether we're talking about societal interactions, political interactions, or any other kind of interaction. All of this applies to all of those things. Now, let's take it a step further and I'll show you just how small and how subtle disrespect can actually be, and why letting these things slip has caused America some serious problems. Here's some examples for you. All right. The very first one, everybody recognizes, saying you'll do something and then don't. When you tell somebody that you're going to do something, that person is counting on, relying on, trusting you to do what you said you were going to do. If you don't, then that means that something that person is needing to do that is probably not going to get done. And if it doesn't get done, then somebody else is going to end up paying the consequences for it. And I'll demonstrate that a little bit later in more detail, in a more visual fashion, so that you can understand really what I'm getting at. Now, let's say, for example, I'm a filmmaker, right? If I create a film and I ask you to work on it, and you come and you work on it, and you're working on my film, and then I don't include you in the credits, I don't give you a place in my credits to say that you helped me make that film, I've disrespected you. Because I basically said that what you did didn't matter to my film. And that's not right. That's why in one of my films, if you work on my film, if you have anything to do with my film, I don't care how small of it is. I don't care if you just show up one day and you bring somebody a glass of water. You're going in my credits. And there's not going to be an argument about it. Because you deserve the respect that you earned. And I'm going to give it to you. Above and beyond the respect that I'm going to give you as a human being. Because you're entitled to that. You deserve that. Another form of disrespect is a failure to communicate. Yes, I worded that in military terms because that's how I'm familiar with it and it comes across a lot easier. But a failure to communicate is a show of disrespect. Because you're basically telling someone, hey, you're not important enough for me to take the time to communicate to you. Something that you probably need to know. And that'll come in the greater clarity here in just a minute when I show you this other example on this thing that I'm going to give you from my own life experience in dealing with people as a businessman. All right? Another thing that I see quite often and quite common in modern day society is the I don't care attitude, or the I don't give a S. Oh, heck with it. Go for the gold. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to say it. I don't give a shit. This attitude, hey, guys, how much more disrespectful can that be? Somebody brings you a problem and you say, I don't care. I don't give a shit. That's disrespectful. That's saying, look, I don't care if you think it's a problem. I don't value you or our relationship enough to do anything about it. And I'm not saying this about any particular person. I'm just saying I've noticed this wide across American society. I'll give you one example, a specific example, just so you understand what I'm saying when it comes to this, right? You're at work, you're in a place of employment, somebody does something, right? And you take it to your supervisor and you tell them, hey, this person did such and such, and it bothers me. It makes my work environment uncomfortable for me. And then they placate you by saying something that they say they're going to do something and then turn around and don't do it and nothing changes. They basically told you, I don't care. And what does that do to you? What does that do to your life? How does that affect your family? How does that affect your friends? Because I guarantee you, the next time you see your family and the next time you see your friends, you're going to be talking about that. And you're going to be upset. And guess what? That's going to make them upset. So see, disrespect goes way beyond just a personal thing. You know, the old statement, the whole psychological and scientific thing says there's, through any individual, there's only 6 degrees of separation between you and the next person that you're dealing with. Well, guess what? Everything you do, everything you say, and every action that you take affects not only the person you're talking to or dealing with or acting toward, but it affects the people around them, and it affects the people around them. So 3, 4 layers deep, your disrespect is affecting people. How many people will that affect? Well, that all depends on how many people that person knows. It's got to be mindful of these things, folks. This is why respect is so important. So just another example, because I got to move on, because I know I'm going to be running short on time. But manipulation, right? Folks, I've been around for almost 52 years now. I've been around some of the best manipulators and best people that were the professional manipulators, all right? This is a show of disrespect. Acting like you respect someone to get something and then ignoring them after you get it. Ladies, I know, I can hear it now. You ladies are always saying, yeah, you guys are real guilty of that. You're always coming after the TNA, and once you get it, you're gone. Well, you know, it's a complete show of disrespect, right? And ladies, I'm going to turn the tables on you because you're just as guilty of this too, just in a different way. You come after us guys, and you got this on your mind. You want that money. You want that paper. And when you get that paper, then all of a sudden you drop us like hot potatoes. Because now we can't afford you because your tastes have gotten too expensive because you've gotten too accustomed to us giving you our money. So it goes both ways, guys. When we start respecting each other and respecting our differences and coming together to have those differences be what makes us stronger, then we'll have unity. But it starts with respect. It starts with respect. Another example of disrespect. Putting less than a wholehearted effort into something for someone else. In other words, you go to your job, right? You're getting paid money so that you can pay your bills, so you can put food on the table, so you can put clothes on your back, so you can keep a roof over your head. And in my case, like for example, this, you know, doing this vlog, this live stream, the electricity that powers the lights and the computers and everything else and the cameras that actually make this happen, right? If I go to my job, well, I'm self-employed. So if I go to one of my clients and I do a half-assed job for them, do you think I'm going to get hired again? No. If you go to your job and you only put in a half-hearted effort on your job because, hey, it's not my work, it's not my money, you know, this is his thing. This is the company's thing. Why am I going to be concerned about it? If you put in a half-hearted job, how likely do you think you are to get promoted? Not likely, right? Because you're showing disrespect for the company. You're showing disrespect for the owner of the company. You're showing disrespect by affecting their ability to make money. And in affecting their ability to make money, you affect their ability to pay you. So you have to take ownership of what you do at that company. That is your business. Why would you do it half heartedly? For example, me as a filmmaker, if I ask you to be a producer on one of my films, I'm expecting you to be able to turn around and create a budget for me. I'm expecting you to sit there and monitor and make sure that everybody is where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, and make sure that everybody's ready to shoot and film when we're supposed to be filming. Keep everything on track so that we don't go over the budget, while at the same time also expecting you to hire various people like a sound recordist, sound engineer, sound designer, sound department head, casting director, lighting director, DPs. I expect you to do all of this stuff because that's what I'm hiring you to do. Now, if you come onto my project and you're only putting in a half-hearted effort because, hey, it's not my project, this is your project. Why would I give everything I've got to your project? Hey, but you'll put 100% into your own project. You're showing me a disrespect. You're saying, hey, your project's not worth the same amount of effort mine is. You're disrespecting my project. You're disrespecting me. Don't do that stuff. See how subtle these things are? But this is disrespect. Now, the last thing I want to go over on this particular slide is going to lead into the next thing that's going to tie all of this together for you guys. Asking someone to stand by and never getting back to them. In other words, you know what? Hey, hang on right here. I need to go take care of this and I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And you leave and then you never come back. Guess what? That person's probably still standing there. If they have any respect for you whatsoever, if they care about you at all, if they value the relationship that you guys have, they're probably still standing there 2 hours later when you haven't come back. Now, I know that seems a little extreme, but let's say 45 minutes, and they decide, you know what, they're obviously not coming back, and they leave. That's about the tolerance of their respect for your relationship. If it's your spouse, and you tell that to your spouse, and she sits there for 2 hours, oh, God help you, dude. God help you when you come back. She's going to be looking at that watch, going like this, and giving you the silent treatment. You ask, what's the matter, honey? Nothing. What's the matter, honey? You should know what's wrong. I mean, come on, guys. You've been there. You've done that. Think about this, all right? Ladies, the same thing goes for you. You know, yeah, honey, yeah, I know we need to be somewhere at a particular point in place and time, and you wait till the last minute to start putting your makeup on, and you make everybody late, you've shown disrespect. Just to take this a little step farther and help tie everything together, let's go ahead and pull up that appointment schedule that I've got there. Now, this is something that actually happened with me in my business, all right? This is something that actually happened with me and happens pretty regularly, to be honest with you. And it's annoying and it puts me in a very, very bad spot. It's not there. Okay. Give us time out for just a second, guys, and we'll get this taken care of because I really want you guys to see this. Donnie, go ahead and mute my mic and all right, guys, sorry about that. We had a little power outage here a little earlier ago, and apparently one of the slides didn't come back up when I reloaded the software. But anyway, here's what I was talking about, all right? As far as failure to communicate and telling somebody to stand by and then you'll be back to them, right? Right here, all right? Here was a schedule that I had one week. I was booked solid Monday through Thursday. Had no room, no vacancies to be able to put anybody in. As you can see on Friday, I was booked from 11 a.m. until about 1 p.m. that day. And then because of doing Dave & Buster's and having that client on the weekends that I do every single weekend, I don't do anything past 2 o'clock. So at 2 o'clock, I cut everybody else off and I save it for that particular client because, well, I make a lot of money with that client. So anyway, 2 o'clock all the way through Sunday, 2 o'clock Friday all the way through Sunday, that's booked. So as you can see here, my entire week was booked and I only had 2 available openings for 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Friday morning. All right. Well, I have client number 1 call me on Tuesday saying that they want to schedule an appointment on Friday. We go through the conversation, et cetera, et cetera. Everything gets to a point where I think we're ready to confirm, and then they tell me, you know what? I need to confirm. I need to run this by by somebody else, and I'll confirm with you by close of business today. Okay, great, wonderful. I'll look forward to hearing from you when you call me back. We'll confirm it on the calendar, and you'll be set. All right. Well, Wednesday comes. Client number 2 calls me on Wednesday afternoon. Says they need an appointment on Friday. We discuss it, we talk about it. I explained to them that I've only got 2 openings right now, and I've got 1 client that's kind of out that I'm waiting on responding to me to let me know which time frame they want. So there's a possibility I might have to push them back to Monday. Well, they tell me, you know, if it's absolutely necessary, yes, we can do Monday, but if possible, I'd really like to do it on Friday. Cool. All right. So that gets settled. Turn around. I schedule them for that Monday, just in case, and let them know, hey, if anything changes and I have that opening on Friday, I'll put you in there. Great. Wonderful. Client number 3 calls me on Thursday morning and says, hey, I have a job that I need it done tomorrow because I have a deadline for Monday. It absolutely, positively has to be done tomorrow. I can't do it Saturday. I can't do it Sunday. I can't do it Monday. It has to be done tomorrow in order to have enough time to make everything come together. So I'm like, okay, well, I only have 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. available on that Friday. Well, guess what? I still haven't heard back from client number 1 yet. That was Tuesday. I've attempted to call them a couple of times. I get straight to voicemail. I leave a voicemail. They don't call me back. So now I'm sitting here, I've got 2 clients that are wanting appointments on Friday during the time that client number 1 said they needed the time. What am I supposed to do with that? You see the kind of position that I've been put in because somebody doesn't want to communicate or says stand by and then doesn't get back to you? I know a lot of people would say, well, just schedule client number 2 and client number 3 for Friday morning, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., done deal. Forget about client number 1. Really? Because that's disrespectful too. Because you've already told client number 1 that you'll hold one of those times for them because they absolutely need you on that Friday. So what am I supposed to tell client number 3? No, I can't schedule you because I'm waiting on idiot number 1 or client number 1 over here to get back to me because they failed to get back to me and they're disrespecting me by not contacting me back by the COP of Tuesday to let me know what they want. Am I supposed to disrespect these 2, client number 2 and client number 3 that way? You see what kind of position this puts me in? And it's just because somebody refused to communicate properly. It's because somebody refused to do what they said that they were going to do. Is somebody chose to disrespect me. And it's not just me that's paying the price for it. It's client number 2 and client number 3. Now let me tell you this, client number 2 and client number 3 had other people that were depending on them to get this particular thing done in order for their jobs to get done properly. How many people were affected by that? Because other than my clients' clients, I don't know how many other people were affected by it. But this is the way everyday life goes in modern society. And this is the complete lack of respect that our society has for one another right now. This is why we have so many divisions. This is why we can't sit here and sit down and have a meaningful conversation that's effective communication to reach and solve problems. And it's got to change. We need to have a respect revolution. Period. If anything in this country is going to change, if anything in our daily lives are going to change, we have to bring respect back. And with that, let's go ahead and open it up for questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to use the YouTube live chat. Right now, I'm going to give my producer a little bit more time to get comfortable with the way everything works before I try and throw that cell phone onto him and try to have him answering those calls and try to run the switchboard and everything else together. So be patient with us. We will get back to doing the call-ins eventually. But for now, make use of that YouTube live chat. Send in your questions, send in your comments. We'll be glad to put them up on the air, and I'll be glad to answer your answer your questions and comments. Pardon me while I get a quick drink here. All right, well, it doesn't seem like we have any comments coming in. So let me check here real quick and see what we've got. All right, doesn't look like we've got much going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. We're going to go ahead and close this stuff down. If you appreciate what I've been doing here with these episodes, with this live blog, if you appreciate the film work and the video work that we've been doing, and it's crossed your mind that you would like to support us in our efforts in making these things happen, the link for doing that is up on your screen right now. This is the best way to actually get us those donations. If there's a specific purpose that you want your donation to go to, whether that be for this vlog or whether it be for one of the films that I'm working on, please make sure to put a note on there with your donation, because I value my integrity a lot, and I really want to make sure that if you're donating money to me for a specific purpose, that money goes to that purpose. It's not going to be used for anything else. So if you put on there that you want it to go, say, to support my efforts with the movie Witnesses, then that's exactly where that money is going to go. I have a separate account just for that particular project, and that's where your money will go. If you say that you want your money to go for this for these vlog episodes for Shooting Straight, then I will put that in a specific account for Shooting Straight so that your money goes where you want it to, right? And it supports what you want it to support. So yeah, that's just how I am. That's my way of showing you respect. And just as a final note on respect, because it's Memorial Day, the best way to show respect for those that gave all and gave the ultimate sacrifice to protect your freedoms is to handle your freedom with responsibility and respect those around you. Because that's what they gave their life for. Defending that Constitution. Respect the other people's rights. Respect the other people's life. Respect the other people's existence. Respect them as human beings. Even if they do things that you can't respect, that you don't respect, still respect them. Still respect the human being. So, again, if you've considered wanting to support our efforts, the link for that is right there on the screen. Feel free to do that. Make sure you make a note so that I put it where you want it to go. And with that, I'm going to call this a night, and I hope that between now and next Monday, you guys have a great week, because next Monday, we're going to be talking about the law, and it's going to be connected to what we discussed tonight and the previous episodes. So don't miss next week. We're talking about the law. We'll see you then.